Hi, how's everybody doing? It's Crazy Monkey here again with part 2 of the blog. Alright, so for part 1 of the blog, I was talking about how the welfare state is resulting in the family being destroyed, how the welfare state destroys the family. I was talking about how, the woman, she basically has a choice. She can get with a lower class, blue collar guy that's making like $9 an hour, or she can get with the welfare, big government. The big government will give her a welfare check, food stamps, earned income tax credit, Section 8. And sadly, the truth is, and it's very sad, but if the woman chooses big government, she gets a way bigger package. She gets way more wealth. She gets way more assistance than she would get choosing that guy that makes $9 an hour. So what the welfare state basically does is it destroys the marriage potential of men that make, say, less than, say, $30,000, $40,000 a year. It basically destroys their marriage potential. And it encourages women in the lower half of society to basically get married to government. It basically encourages women to get married to the government, and it destroys the family. And it's designed to do that. It is designed to do that. They do not want a middle class. They want a giant poverty class they can control. They want a giant poverty class they can control with welfare programs. And that's what the ruling elites want. And that's what they're doing. And that's what the welfare state is designed to do. It's designed to create a Venezuelan-type society where the rich elites will have all the wealth at the top, and then there'll be a massive, giant slave poverty underclass where you will work 50, 60 hours a week for low wages to make the corporations rich. And then at the same time, you will need welfare from the government to survive. That's their system. And then you will vote for Democrat, socialist politicians to keep the welfare check coming your way, to keep the food stamps coming your way. That is their system. And the corporations, they make all the profit off the low wages that that system creates. And that's what the welfare state does. It lowers wages dramatically. And it's designed to do that. It's designed to lower our wages. It's designed to collapse the family. And it's designed so the billionaire elites at the top get just tons and tons of money, and then everybody else at the bottom gets poor and poor and poor, and then we become manageable and controllable, and we vote for socialist Democrats to keep the welfare gravy check coming. It's sick. It's utterly disgusting, and it's sick, and it will turn the country into Venezuela. And part 2 of the blog is right now. I'm going to talk about how the welfare state is turning the West, especially Europe, over to make it Islamic. The welfare state in Europe is to make countries Islamic. The welfare state in America is to turn it third world, and it's also to turn it third world in Europe as well. And the welfare state is a giant magnet, a gigantic magnet to the migrants, to the immigrants, to the illegal immigrants. Come here, free money. Come here, free money. It's a giant magnet with a neon sign saying free money, welfare, free money, welfare. And it's just bringing millions and millions of people, illegal aliens, refugees, migrants, Islamic refugees, into the West, especially in Europe, where the welfare state's incredibly lavish. I've been visiting Europe for the last 9 years, and I've noticed a major change in the Western European countries. For example, in Paris, I've noticed a major change, how you can tell the Islamic population has skyrocketed in the last 8 years. I was just in Paris about a year ago, and you can tell the Islamic population in Paris has gone way up compared to how it was a decade ago. And most of them are friendly, most of them are nice. That is true. That is true. But the thing is, there's probably 5 billion people in the third world, all right? And probably 80% of them are decent and good. Maybe 90%, I don't know. But the majority are decent and good people, right? Here's the problem. If we bring those people into the West, we're going to still collapse. We're still going to become ultra poor. Our wages are still going to collapse. The housing costs go sky high. The rents go sky high. The billionaire, liberal, elitist, socialist tops, they want that because they're the ones that own all the apartment buildings. They're going to get all the money from the increased rents. We're going to get poorer and poorer. And then the rich elite socialists at the top, they're the ones that own the stock. They're the ones that are in the government. They're going to make all the profit as our wages collapse. And then they will use these migrants and these immigrants as a massive, massive voting bloc. A voting bloc to vote for socialist politicians that will ban our guns, will ban our rights, and will turn us into Venezuela. And the socialist politicians at the top, and the CEO billionaires at the top, they will have billions and billions of dollars of wealth. They will be filthy rich. And then we at the bottom will become dirt poor. And the immigrants they're bringing in, they're going to be dirt poor too. We're all going to be dirt poor as a giant slave labor underclass. That's what they're doing. They're trying to turn Western Europe, America, Canada, Australia into the massive third world. They're trying to make the whole planet third world, where you have a tiny elite, super socialist elite class at the top that have billions and billions of dollars. Then you have a small middle class in the middle, and you have a massive poverty enslaved class at the bottom. And they're going to have that in every country on earth. That is their system. That is what they want. I'm going to show you real quick about what's happening in Ireland right now, the small town in Ireland. So this is a small town in Ireland where 93% of the people, let me just show you real quick, I'll read the article in a minute. All right. The asylum seekers are starting to come in this week, he said, explaining how the contracts for the deal have now been signed this Wednesday, making it a done deal despite 93% of the people in this town voted against turning a local hotel into an asylum seeker accommodation. All right, so 93% of the people in this town voted against the hotel being turned into an asylum seeker accommodation, but it doesn't matter because the government's going to do it anyway. They're going to do it anyway. They're going to bring in, I think it's over 100 asylum seekers in this town of 300 people, and they're going to be brought in even though 93% of the people voted against it. And here's the article. It's from Breitbart. It's tiny Irish town taking hundreds of migrants had no say. Locals fear being called racist. So this town will totally transform because if they bring in 100 of these migrants, and I would presume these are going to be Islamic migrants, and their family size will, in general, based on Europe, based on the Middle East, based on Africa, their family size is like 4 or 5 children per family, usually, and their population doubles every 20 years. So what this means is this town will be majority Islamic probably within 20 or 30 years. So the Christians will become a minority, and Islam will be a majority in this town in 20, 30 years because they're bringing in all these people. Even though the people want to keep their culture and keep their town the way it is, but they're overruled by the government, basically. The government's bringing the people in anyway because the idea is to turn the West into the third world. That's the idea. And don't get mad at the people coming in. Don't get mad at the migrants, the immigrants coming in. Don't get mad at them because the reality is they're just being used to turn everything third world. They're bringing them in, putting them on welfare, and then the goal is to make all of us dirt poor. The goal is to make all of us third world. That's the goal. So in the end, these migrants will become just as poor as the countries they came from. And we will become just as poor as them because they're going to make the whole planet third world. So if you're an average middle-class person in Paris or anywhere in the West, you will become just as poor as the people in the third world. They're going to have basically 3 classes in the future. They're going to have a super elite socialist ruling class at the top that will use socialist as the management system, and they will have the billions and billions of dollars with the tech CEO billionaires. They will be the socialist elites at the top. And then there will be a small middle class. There will be a small middle class of like doctors, lawyers. You know, you'll have a small middle class. And it'll be like this in every country on earth. This is their system. And then 95% of the population will live in extreme poverty. And this will be in every country on earth. And there will be nowhere to go where you can be an average person and be middle class. There will be nowhere to go. You will live in poverty and misery in every country on earth because that's their system. Unless you become like a doctor or lawyer and get into the middle class, or unless you become one of the socialist elites at the top. That is literally what they're doing. And then 95% of us at the bottom, we're just going to become dirt poor. And they're already done this in San Francisco. I'll talk about it. I'm going to talk about the socialist city of San Francisco on part 3 of the blog update. But this is part 2. Just want to show you the article real quick. My camera battery's already red. All right, so this is Breitbart. And this is the article link. And I'm going to turn it off real quick, but I just want to say, you know, I'm not against the immigrants because they're just being used to flood the West and make all of us dirt poor, make all of us third world. That's what they're doing.